Ahoj úžasňáci, já vás moc vítám u nového podcastu a dneska to bude podcast vyloženě v angličtině, takže pokud ještě nejste na úrovni, abyste rozuměli bez titulku, tak vám doporučuji podcast sledovat na YouTube. Já vám dám odkaz i do popisku, pokud teď posloucháte ve vaší podcastové aplikaci, a to z jednoho důvodu. Na YouTube si totiž můžete zapnout anglické titulky a pokud je to pro vás až moc velká výzva, tak můžete dokonce začít s dvojjazyčnými titulky, což je taky funkce, kterou YouTube poskytuje. A já na ní mám speciální návod, protože jen tak sami o sobě si je na YouTube stáhnout nemůžete a ten návod vám taktéž přiložím do popisku tohoto videa. Ale teď už nebudu zdržovat a vrhneme se na to. Téma jsou otázky a odpovědi, které jste mi pokládali na Instagramu. Pokud se nepletu, já rychle kouknu, kolik jich mám, tak jich mám 12, takže a jsou z každého rožku trošku, takže hodně různorodá témata, takže jsem hodně zvědavá na to, kam nás to dneska zanese, jestli se to dá tak říct. Takže konec češtiny a pojďme se na to pustit. So, the first question I got was, how many dogs do you have and do you want more? So I've got 2 dogs. I've got Lizzie. She's the white dog. If you follow my Instagram, you must have already seen her. And the second dog is Betty. She's the black one. And they are the cutest. Lizzie is 1.5 years old and Betty is 7 months old, and they are totally best friends. They couldn't live without one another, and I am so happy they do so well together. I cannot imagine if they would fight all the time or anything. And currently they are quite difficult to take care of since Betty has been castrated. And therefore she needs a lot of rest, a lot of attention. So we have to be with her at home 24/7. She cannot be let alone. And Lizzie has some issues with her digestion, which is unpleasant. You can probably imagine what it must be like. So I'm not gonna describe it in detail because that would definitely be TMI, but to be honest, currently I don't want to have any more dogs. It's quite difficult to take care of those 2, but it's true that I am a bit biased by their health condition. And if they were okay, I would probably tell you that I definitely want another dog because I love puppies so much. So I would definitely love to get another puppy. But to be honest, there are more disadvantages to advantages when having a puppy, and I know what it's like, and I'm not sure if I can go through it again. At least not with all the workload I currently have, and my husband has pretty much the same situation in his business right now. So we are way too busy to take care of any more dogs. It's actually quite hard to take care of 2. But in the future, maybe, since I also want to live in a house one day with a big garden, so there might be a potential of having a big dog. Because, you know, Lizzie and Betty, they are both very small. Lizzie has 4 kilos and Betty 6, so you can probably imagine how big they are. So maybe, I don't know, a German Shepherd or a Labrador or Golden Retriever. I love these breeds, so maybe one day. So the second question I got was, why did you move to Pilsen from Prague? So if you don't know it yet, I currently live in Pilsen in a flat, and I was raised and born in Pilsen, and it has always been my hometown, and it's where my heart is. For me, it's quite hard to imagine I would live at any other place. I love everything about Pilsen. And I moved to Prague for 1 year, and it was because of my husband, who was my fiance back at the time, and it was Yeah, it was very fast back then because we went on holiday to Budapest. In Budapest, he asked me, no, sorry, in Budapest, he suggested we could move in together because before we moved in together, we only saw each other maybe 3 times a month, which was really hard since I already told you that we both have our businesses and living in 2 different cities with our occupation, impossible to meet each other and to see each other more than only a few times a month. So I was really dreaming of living together, and I was like impatiently waiting for the moment when he finally suggests that we could start living together. And he did that in Budapest, in Spa. So I still remember that moment because it was my probably happiest moment in my life. And 2 days after, when we got from Budapest to Prague, he asked me to marry him. He proposed to me. So in like 2 days, we decided to move in together. We got engaged. And 7 days later, we already were signing a contract for our new flat in Prague. And we moved in together in Prague, Žižkov. So yeah, it all happened really, really quickly. And I didn't have much time to give it much thought. And actually, I had no idea how hard it would be for me to move from Pilsen to Prague. Maybe it's a good thing that I didn't have much time to think about it, since I would probably change my mind and I would get cold feet and just, I don't know, stop this whole plan. But no, I wouldn't, because all I wanted at that time was to live and spend more time with my husband. So I probably wouldn't have changed my mind. But anyway, it's been hard, and after 2 months, I had a mental breakdown, and I said that I cannot possibly continue living in Prague. But we had already signed a contract for 1 year, and my husband back then still had a job which was in Prague, and it was impossible for him to work from home, and like commuting every day from Pilsen to Prague, no, impossible when you basically work 2 jobs, because he had his job and he was already starting his business. So after his regular hours, he spent another like 4 hours of working on his own business. So he left the flat at 8 o'clock in the morning and he came home at 9 p.m. So you can probably imagine that commuting was not an option. So we had to stay in Prague, long story short, and let me tell you, I was counting every day until the day we were supposed to move back to Pilsen, and there was a huge fuck up on my side because I thought that our lease ends at the end of October, but no, it actually ended at the end of November. So we already booked the company to help us move to the furniture and like all the things we had. So we decided not to cancel it, but we had to pay 1 more rent, even though we already lived in Pilsen in November, and the rent was not cheap, let me tell you. It was like 23,000 a month. So that was not a pleasant surprise, but I wouldn't change a thing, because if anybody asked me like, if you knew your lease would end at the end of November, would you prefer to stay in Prague until the end of November or move to Pilsen anyway and pay the rent anyway? So I would, of course, I would move to Pilsen because I would have to pay the rent in any case. So So yeah, so why did I move back to Pilsen? It's because in Pilsen I have a beautiful flat that I built and designed myself, and it's perfect. It's super modern. It's not well, it's mine, so it's not expensive anymore compared to the terrible rent in Prague. So, and plus my husband doesn't work his job in Prague anymore, so he can work from anywhere, and he commutes to many cities, so it doesn't really matter if he's in Pilsen or in Prague. And so that's the reason we're in Pilsen now, and I'm not planning on changing that anyway. Okay, so the third question is, what is your typical day like? Oh no, we're already on the 10th minute. I thought that this was gonna be short, so oof. So back to the question, what is your typical day like? So I usually wake up at 7. It's because of my husband's alarm. If it was up to me, I wouldn't set up an alarm, but his always wakes me up, and I have the problem that when something already wakes me up in the morning, I just cannot possibly fall asleep again. So I stay in bed for like 10 more minutes until I get up, and then I have a decaf coffee, and I of course go to the bathroom to wash my face, comb my hair, do my makeup. Then I usually have like a 30, 40 or 50 minute long session of work, and I usually work at my walking desk. That means that I am on my treadmill, and I usually respond to emails, I send new invoices, I check the payments of the students, I answer questions on my WhatsApp, on my Instagram. I help my teachers with things, I help my students with some things, and after this session I usually have breakfast, which is my favorite meal of the day. And after breakfast it really depends. Or most of the time I usually go back to work, and I work for another like 1 or 2 hours. Then I usually go for a walk with my dogs. Then it's lunchtime, so I have a lunch, and in the afternoon I work, and in the evening, I forgot one thing. So if I go to the gym, I go to the gym in the afternoon in the morning after my breakfast, and if I go to my jumping or dancing lessons, which I have 3 times a week, I don't go to the gym naturally, and I go to these activities at 6:30 or even at 8 p.m, so quite late. And I usually just like spend the whole day working until it's time to go to the gym to do jumping or to go dancing. And after I return, I usually just have dinner and watch some Netflix with my husband, or just talk and stuff, and then I fall asleep at 10. And this is what it's like every day for me, except for Saturdays, which are the only free day for me. And Saturdays are like, it depends. We have so many diverse plans on Saturdays. Sometimes we just like stay in all day and just like watch series, play PlayStation, chill, I don't know, eat, cook, bake, go out with our dogs. And sometimes we go on trips or to the cottage. Yeah, really depends. Question number 5. Do you have any guilty pleasures? I had to give it a lot of thought, because the only guilty pleasure I was able to think of was watching reality shows. Oh my god, I love reality shows, and I am so ashamed of for it, because I know it's so stupid, but these shows are the only like things, or I don't know, like things I can watch, and I can totally like turn my brain off and just like stare at it. And sometimes I use it as a background noise, if you know what I mean. So when I work, or when I want to when I need to do some work that I don't really enjoy, I tend to watch reality shows while doing the work that I don't want to do, which makes it more enjoyable. So I would say it's really reality shows. I love Survivor, the Czech one, and the American one, of course. I love MasterChef. I love Love is Blind. I don't know, like all reality shows you can think of, I'm probably a fan of. Number 6, are you an early bird or a night owl? So I'm definitely an early bird rather than a night owl, because I can be very productive in the mornings, and I cannot do any work basically in the evenings or nights because my brain just like completely shuts off. So I would say I am an early bird, but I think I could be a night owl. That it doesn't really depend, or it doesn't really matter. It depends on what I'm used to currently. But currently it's waking up quite early. I used to get up at 5 for a long time, especially when I was in Prague, but I don't do that anymore because it wasn't really compatible with like normal life. If you know what I mean, like not many people wake up at 5, and if I woke up at 5, I needed to go to bed at 9 p.m. and it's early, to be honest. So if you want to have any sort of social life, it's hard to leave any place at 7 or 8 because you need to go to bed. Number 7, do you want to have children? So since I'm married, many people kind of like expect me to have children quite soon. To be honest, I don't know. I think if it happened, like if I found out I was pregnant, I would probably be happy. But if it was up to me to plan it, I would wait for another like 2 or 3 years, because I still want to travel and do a lot of things. And to be honest, I'm not ready to give up my life and to sacrifice everything for another human being. And I think I still need to grow up a little to be able to be a good mom. So I do want to have children, maximum 2. But probably not now. I'm only 20... Oh, how old I am? 24, yes. Well, it's not only. I am already 24, that's terrible. So maybe when I'm 26. Number 8, what are you afraid of? So when it comes to like the regular things, I'm afraid of spiders and I'm afraid of heights. But my biggest fear is really losing my husband due to some sort of accident, and it's terrible because on my mind they are constantly this catastrophic imaginations like of could have happened to him when he's not at home, and I'm constantly thinking whether if he had an accident, for example, a car accident, I mean, or if anything happens to him, and it's terrible. And when I'm watching movies and somebody dies, I usually imagine what it would be like if that person who died was my husband, and then I start crying and so like my biggest fear ever is losing my husband due to his death. Well, I'm just gonna end it right here. Number 9, what's your favorite sport? My favorite sport is definitely going to the gym, if I can call it a sport. And what I especially love are those group lessons which are called jumping lessons, where you have these like little trampolines, and it's like a party on trampolines. It's so I don't know even how to describe it. It's like party atmosphere, and it's like super intense. So I'm usually totally sweaty and out of breath, but it's so rewarding and so relaxing because you cannot really think of anything else, and you are like totally in the present moment, and there are very little activities when I feel present, and this is one of them, and that's why I love it so much. So I have jumping lessons twice a week. I go to the gym twice a week because I also like to make my own training program and do the type of exercises that I feel like doing at that moment. And it's like my alone time as well, because I go to the gym alone. And I also like dancing, so it's probably gonna be these three. Number 10, what's your motivation for this project? By this project, the person must have meant výuka a online. So my motivation is to help as many students as possible to overcome the language barrier. So I don't know what else to say in that. Of course, my motivation is to help as many students as possible. I also, like when I look at the other, when I look at it from another point of view, I also want to make as many like job positions for other people to have the most amazing job of their lives, because currently there are like 14 teachers on my team, and all of them like love their job so much, and I am so grateful to be able to provide them with such an opportunity. So this is my second motivation, and of course my third motivation is that I just love doing business. I love being creative and inventive. And of course, like I do business because I wanted to achieve freedom, both when it comes to the finances and when it comes to my location. So I have, I am so grateful to say that I have achieved financial and locational freedom, and that's another motivation. Number 11. What are your plans for the summer? So I have very little plans. Like the only plan I have is traveling to Barcelona with my dearest friend and fellow teacher, Daya. We're traveling there in July, and we're gonna stay there for 5 days. And since I really love Spain and I love Spanish, I am so excited to go there. I have dreamt of going to this place for a long time now, and I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. And my second plan is like taken some time off work, because May and June, let me tell you, those are going to be the most demanding and most difficult months of this year for me, because I have so many things on my plate, so many projects going on, and it's gonna be worth it, I know that, but now I am like extremely busy. So in summer, I definitely want to compensate for this period of time. And the last question here, which means of transport do you like? So I definitely like cars. I like generally really like driving. I am not a big fan of cars in general. Like, I mean, I don't understand what are all the models that exists and all the brands and so on, but when I'm in a good car, I can tell, and I really enjoy driving it. And but to be honest, I'm quite afraid of like car accidents and I trust very little people when it comes to me being, for example, on the shotgun. When it comes to driving the shotgun, which means like not being the driver but being the person next to the driver, and so it can be quite stressful for me to travel by car, but I guess it's the most comfortable means of transport. When it comes to like traveling on holiday, I definitely prefer planes. I wouldn't be able to go on a longer drive than a 4-hour-long drive in a car. So I always opt for planes. But to be honest, I'm also afraid of flying. So every time we take off, I just pray to God and I'm basically like saying goodbye to my life. And when we're up in the air, I'm quite alright until it's time to land. But like it's the most comfortable way of traveling when I want to travel long distances, so I'm okay with that, even though with even though I am afraid a little. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Už klidně přepnu do češtiny. Pokud se vám podcast líbil a chcete, abych pokračovala takhle v tematických epizodách, kdy budu povídat anglicky, takhle prostě z patra, takové jako chit-chat, tak mi dejte prosím vědět do komentářů. A nebo na Instagram, že vás to bavilo, že jste se doposlouchali až sem. Nezapomeňte dát videu like a odebírat můj kanál nebo podcastový kanál. Záleží, kde zrovna posloucháte, ať vám neuteče žádná další epizoda. A mějte se nádherně. Doufám, že jsem odpověděla na všechny otázky, co vás zajímaly, a pokud máte jakýkoliv další, tak mi je rozhodně napište, ať už právě sem do komentáře, nebo na Instagram výuka.ioonline, anebo na mail eliska@výuka.ioonline.cz.